So we're dealing with modeling linear functions. So what are these things I've drawn here with the blue dots drawn? There's a line on them, but what's the blue dot part called? You may remember what that's called? Maybe Algebra 1, Algebra 2, or something. Yeah, scatterplot. That's what that is. Those are scatterplots. And then the line there is just, if we put a line on that scatterplot, this one you can see it kind of follows that line. They have a relationship that it looks like it's kind of following that. So the relationship is what we're looking at here. And, we know if it's a linear relationship, we could write an equation, y equals mx plus b. We already know that kind of stuff. The slope would be positive here because it's going up and to the right. So it's nothing new on that. Here, linear relationship going down and to the right, slope would be negative or less than 0 out of that. So I made mention the other day about the human eye really finds lines really well. I mean, we can line things up kind of. We can get things pretty well in a straight line. Now, if I ask you to put things in a quadratic line, that's a little bit more difficult because there's so many so many things that can change that quadratic. We make it wider, skinnier, all that. But a straight line is really something we can see well. And with the scatter plot, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to take a scatter plot and we're going to look at it. We're going to write the equation of a line. And then we're going to use technology to help us find the line that best fits that data. Okay, so we're going to get some data to make a scatter plot with. We're going to use the calculator to draw our scatter plots, okay, instead of having to plot them on a coordinate plane and all that. So we're going to use the calculator to help us do that out of there. So we've got a positive slope on this one here. We got a negative slope on that one. We see the linear relationship. All the dots kind of make a straight line. They're not perfectly in a line, but they do kind of follow a straight line kind of style. Here's another example here. You got a kind of straight across there. In statistics, you'd call that a uniform distribution because they're all right there flat. There we know is 0 because it's horizontal. So it would really end up being y equals some number, whatever number that is, and we'd get that from our scatter plot, the data that we found. So we can find that with some technology there. And then you got the nonlinear relationship. We can see that this one does follow some sort of pattern, but it's not straight. That's maybe some sort of quadratic pattern. It may just be a snippet of some sort of trigonometric or just some sort of curve to it. I'm not really sure what it is, but we know it has a pattern. It's nonlinear. If the dots are on your scatter plot and they're all like willy-nilly everywhere, what kind of relationship is that? It's not one. You guys, we I think preached enough scatter plot over the last 4 years of your life that those sort of things. Okay, so what I want to do is take a couple of examples from a couple of the problems out of your book and let's look at those. So I'm going to use some problems from page 292. I'm going to be looking at number 12 first, and I'll write the information up here. If you want to write it down, you can, or you could just look at it out of the book there. And we're going to be following the directions there that they have somewhat, and I want to take you through what I'm asking you to do for the basis of this particular section. Okay, so if we read the instructions there on page 292, it says draw a scatter diagram. Okay, that means they're asking you to do it by hand. You're not going to do that. I'm not going to ask you to draw a scatter diagram by hand. You can. You know how to do plot ordered pairs. That's all that is. You know how to do that. So I don't need to know that you can do that. You can do that. So no sense in us doing that. And it says select 2 points from the scatter diagram and find the equation of the line containing the points selected. Okay. Now, quiz purposes, I'm going to tell you which 2 points to use. That way everybody's getting, I don't have to come up with, if there's how many ordered pairs here? 6. I don't have to come up with, or well, actually it'd be 6 choose 2. That'd be almost 20 something equations that you could possibly come up with based on what you're doing there. They would all be similar, but I'm going to tell you which 2 ordered pairs to pick. With this, they're not telling you which 2 ordered pairs to pick. We're going to pick a couple of them here, and we're going to write the equation of the line that goes through that. So let's first do part C. Graph it says, or part D, excuse me. Use the graphing utility to the line of best fit. So we need a scatter diagram to get that line of best fit. We're going to find a line of fit that we pick the 2 points. Then we're going to get the calculator to find the line of best fit, which what it does is it measures from each ordered pair how far it is away from the line, and it does a lot of calculations to get that line that best fits the data. So let's get the calculator to draw us a scatter diagram so that we don't have to do it by hand. Okay. So on your graphing calculator, what you want to do is you want to go here, and I want to try to get everybody set.
Pardon the interruption, just letting you know, Second Chance breakfast is running a little bit late this morning.
All right, so let's get everybody set up to do what we want to do. So if you got the color version or one of the 84 pluses, hit the mode button, and you should have a lot of stuff here, like menu wise. I'm looking for something that says Stat Wizards and Stat Diagnostics. So you may have to scroll down to find those. And I want both of those turned on. Okay, if you've got an older version, you don't have this option. Okay, so that's why the 84 is better. You have this option. Those turned on. Stat Wizards and Stat Diagnostics. That way, when we do something, yours will look like what mine looks like. Okay. Now, once you've got those turned on, everybody got those turned on? Let's press second, or let's just press the stat button. We don't need second yet. Just press stat. Okay. What we want to do is edit some lists. We want to put these ordered pairs that we've got there for number 12 in a list. So I want everybody's list set up the same, so I need you to run the setup editor, because there's, for some odd reason, there's times that the list, like list 1, list 2, list 3, one of them will just randomly disappear. And so I want everybody's to be there for the first one. So let's hit number 5 and then hit enter. And what that will do is just set everybody's the same so that we're all on the same page. There shouldn't be any differences there. Okay. Now, hit the stat button one more time. Then we're going to go edit. So hit enter there on edit. I've got some stuff already typed in. I'm going to show you how to clear a list. I'm glad I've got things in there. So because if you rented one from us, you probably got some stuff typed in yours as well. All right. So if you've got stuff already typed in list 1 and list 2, you want to clear that out. So press the up arrow to where L1 up here at the top is highlighted. And then you want to hit clear, and then you have to hit enter. And it'll clear out that entire list at once instead of having to like type over each individual piece. If you make a mistake typing one in, yeah, you can go to that one spot and just retype over the top of it. It'll replace it. But if you need to clear an entire list, you're going to do that. And then I'm going to go over here to list 2, press the right arrow key, and then press up till L2 is highlighted. I'm going to hit clear and enter one more time. That's going to empty out that list. If you've got something in list 3, 4, 5, whatever, well, you can clear them if you want to, but list 1 and list 2, X and Y values is what we need, okay? So I'm going to list 2 or in list 1. I'm going to go to list 1. I'm going to put my X values there. Okay, so for number 12, I'm going to have 3, 5. So I'm just typing that number and hitting enter. 7, 9, 11, and 13. And then I'm going to go over to list 2, and I'm going to put the y value that goes with the x value beside of it. Make sure you put, pair them up as ordered pairs because it matters. Okay. So 0, 2, 3, 6, 11 and 9, 13 and 11. Everybody got lists typed in? I don't want to leave anybody behind because if you get behind, it's hard to catch what we did and still do what you need to do. All right, so once you've got those in there, what we need to do is get our calculator to do a scatter plot. So we want to press second y equals. If you look above in the blue writing there above y equals, it says stat plot. Doing a stat plot. We took some lists. That's where you store your data, and then we're plotting those. So I'm going to use number 1, and I'm going to hit enter there on that one. Turn that stat plot on. Okay, yours may be on, it may be off, but you want to turn it to the on position. And then the next thing it's going to give you is some types. Version you've got, how many different types you have there. But the first one on every TI 80 whatever calculator is the scatter plot option, and that's the one we want. Okay, so the first one's like a line graph, and then that's a histogram, box and whisker plots, 2 different types of those. And then that's a step graph kind of thing there. Then X list, we want L1. Y list, we want L2. Those. And then what mark you have it make, that's up to you. It doesn't matter which one of those you pick. I always just leave it on the first one because it makes a little square. It's easier to see. The little dot over here on the end, that makes one little dot there, and it's kind of tough to see sometimes. So it doesn't matter what mark you pick. You just want to. The idea there is that you could do several scatter plots on the same graph and have different marks meaning the same one. Okay. So once we've done that, we want to hit graph. And we may not see everything. All right. I've got another equation up there that I need to delete off of there. The next thing we do is going to show you. All right, so I've got an equation up there. I want to delete that off. So I'm going to go to y equals and clear that out. So I'm going to hit clear right there because I don't. Now, what you see there may not have all your dots on it. There were 6 ordered pairs there. I don't see 6 dots on my picture there. So what I want to do is fix my window so that I see all of my points. And to do that, you're going to press the zoom button. And this may get everybody's showing up if yours is not showing up like you think it should. And we want to do zoom stat, which is number 9 there. And then, what do you see? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ordered pairs. Does that look like a linear relationship? It's got a little hump in the middle there, but overall it's pretty straight, right? Kind of a straight line, not perfect, but it's kind of straight. Okay, so we can get a scatter plot using the calculator to put in the x and the y values, and then do a scatter plot, and we can look at that relationship to see if it's linear or not. So we're not looking at slopes on this. We're looking at in the first section, you had a table of values and said, is this a linear relationship? And you had to check the slopes. That's not. These are just like data values, and you're trying to say, is it trending toward linear? Is what you're trying to decide. Okay. Anybody not getting that kind of picture out on this? Okay, now let's write an equation of a line. Okay, so we're going to pick 2 ordered pairs. Let's just pick 5, 2, and we're going to use those 2 to manually write an equation of a line. Okay, so if we're going to write the equation of a line, what do we need? We got to have a slope and a Y-intercept. So that's the things we got to find. So I'm going to find the slope. Be 6 minus 2, 9 minus 5. 4 over 4, which is 1. Slope of 1. And then, excuse me, and then we're going to find the Y-intercept. Now, technically, you could pick any of these ordered pairs to get the Y-intercept from, but since I'm writing it with these two ordered pairs, I'm going to use one of those ordered pairs to find my Y-intercept. That's the way I want you to do that. So on a quiz, when I tell you which two ordered pairs to use, I want you to use one of those ordered pairs to find your B. Okay, so whatever two you pick, you're going to use to find B. So I'm going to pick, 5, 2. That's a good one to use. So that'd be 2 equals 1 times 5 plus B. It'd be negative 3 is what B is. So our equation, y equals 1x minus 3. I'm curious to see how that fits on my scatter plot. Okay, so I want to graph that on my scatter plot to see how see if it looks like it follows the points. So on my calculator, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go to y equals to graph a line, and it's 1x minus 3. We'll graph that. Let's see how it fits. That's not too bad. It goes perfectly through the 2 points that I picked. 2, and then what was the other one? 9, 6. Is that what that is? So it goes perfectly through those 2 because that's the 2 I used. Okay, it gets real close to this point. Kind of loses this one and these 2. So maybe that's not the best fitting line, but it is a line that kind of gets close to all the points. Okay, now let's use the calculator to find our best fitting line. It does a lot more calculations and distance away from each point and all this stuff. It does a ton of math to do that. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to go to stat to find a line of best fit. Okay, so this is just a line of fit. A line of best fit, that's going to be done with the calculator. All right, so if I ask you for a line of fit, I'm just talking about you find the line. You manually do that. I'll tell you which 2 ordered pairs to use. If I say line of best fit, that's graphing calculator is going to do that. Okay, so on the calculator, you've already got your scatter plot done. You've already got the data in there, list 1 and list 2. We want to press stat. And then once we're in stat, we want to go over to calculate. Okay. And if we look there, there's number 4 is LINREG. That stands for linear regression. And then what that is a line of best fit. A linear regression. At the 84 or the 84 CE or C, whichever one you've got, when you hit enter on that one, this is going to come up. I think some of you may be the only one's got 83. You actually have to do less because it defaults to list 1 and list 2. As long as you put your data in list 1 and list 2, it'll work. Okay, so you don't have to actually do anything. Okay, now so list 1, list 2 needs to be there, X and Y list, just like the scatter plot was. Okay, if one of those is not there, in order to get it to say list 1, you hit second and then the number 1. If you look above the number 1 here, there's a blue L1. So if you had to put data in list 3 or list 6 or whatever list you happen to put it in, you can change that by hitting second and then whatever number list you used. Okay, should be list 1, list 2 for everybody already. Okay, then the frequency list should be blank. We'll talk about that when you take statistics, when that's used. And then it gives you the option to store the regression equation. We're just going to write it down because we're going to round it to a certain amount. Okay, so this would be storing it without rounding it at all. And that's really handy to find in like a statistics class where you're going to actually use that equation to do something else with it. So storing it, what that does is allows you to graph it, you know, without rounding at all. We're going to round it anyway because that's how I want you to tell me what the equation is. So what we need is arrow down to calculate and tell it to spit that thing out. All right, so we get back this stuff. A, you know, our linear regression, it tells us what the equation looks like. It's y equals ax plus b. So A is the what? Slope. B is the y-intercept, right? Okay, this r squared and r, those are how well does it fit? Okay, the r squared is, the closer that is to 1, the better it fits. 0.9815, that's really close to 1. So this is really going to fit real well when we look at this. The R value, that's your correlation coefficient, is what that's called. And the closer that is to 1, you know, positive 1, that's a positive relationship. This can be negative. It'd be a negative relationship. That's going to kind of help you, you know, do on the slope and all that stuff. But those, I like to have those on there just for statistics background. And then it also helps you know, if this doesn't fit real well, you know, maybe something's wrong with my scatter plot. You know, so that's a kind of a check thing. That's why I like having those there. If you don't have those there, it's not a big deal. You just got to be real careful about when you put your stuff in. So we're going to round that to 2 decimal places for each of those. Okay, so 1.128 should round up to 1.13x. And then the y-intercept, 0.861, 1 rounds that to stay at 6, minus 3.86. That's our line of best fit. Now what we want to do now is graph that and see how much better that fits than the one we found. It shouldn't be too different because if you look, you know, these are real close. You know, but I bet this one's going to be real close to those dots. So I'm going to graph that. I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to go down here to y2. I'm going to leave that one I graphed already. I'm going to leave that on there. I'm going to graph the second one. If you've got the color screen, this is nice because you can see the 2 different lines. If you got the black and white one, just got to remember that one's already there, and this the second one there. So 1.13x minus 3.86. Ooh, that's nice. Notice this point right here, not real good still with the red line, but the rest of them, you know, it got real close to all of the others out of that. So that's why it's a best fitting line. It's better than the blue one that we came up with manually. Even though the blue one we came up manually was pretty close, but it wasn't perfect. You know, it wasn't the best one like this red one is. So we're finding the line of best fit out of that. So that's what I want you to be able to do here with this is look at that data and then plot it with a scatter plot on your calculator. Then find the equation of the line, pick 2 ordered pairs, and then find the best fitting line using the graphic calculator to do that. So let's go through one more together so we get the process, because 1 time through I don't think is enough on that. 2 times through I think you'll get it, and then after you do the practice you'll really get it. So let's just do number 14 there. Same idea. You got a table of values, x and y, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 7, 3, 2, 0.
All students who are benchmark testing report to the library.
Okay, now, so we got X and Y list. So where are we going to put that? So we're going to go to Stat, Edit, and we need to clear out these lists that we had already. when you clear these, it's going to remove that scatter plot that you did. Okay, it's not going to remove the equations that we typed in, but it's going to remove the scatter plot that we did. Just type that stuff in. Excuse me. 6, 3, 2, 0. What's the next thing that we do? Yeah, second y equals. Good job. That's right. Second y equals to get it to make sure that stat plot's still on. Now it's once I've set up one of them to do it, and I've used list 1 and list 2 over and over, I don't have to go back and make it do that again.
The following students need to report to the library: Callan Christopher, Garrity Cook, David Hazel, Austin Mayfield, Abigail Wilson, Alan Wells, Josh Butler, Hunter Holcomb, John McAfee.
All right. So the next thing we need to do is graph that. So I'm going to hit graph. And I've still got those equations that I typed in there. So I'm going to have to go delete those. But I should notice that I don't see hardly any points here. I see just barely part of 1. Because it's a different set of data. I've got to reset my window. You don't have to reset the scatter plot stuff, but you got to reset your window so you can see the scatter plot. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear out those equations, and they don't fit this data. So then I'm going to go zoom 9 for stat, and I should see all my points. Okay, zoom 9 for my list, my scatter plot from my list 1 and list 2. Okay. Then manually find an equation of a line. Pick your 2 points. For this set, I'm going to pick this one and this one. I'm just picking 2. It doesn't really matter which 2. On the practice, it doesn't matter which 2 you pick. I'm going to tell you on the quiz which 2 to use. Okay, tell you on the test which 2 to use if I'm asking you to find it manually. So I'm going to use those 2 points. So I need the slope, 7 minus 2, negative 2 minus 1, 5 over negative 3. And then I'm going to use one of those points to find my y-intercept. So 2 equals negative 5/3, 1 plus b. This is 5 over 3. 6 over 3. 11 over 3. Y equals negative 5/3 x plus 11 over 3. Okay. That's my line of fit. And I want to graph that to see how it fits my data. Okay, so I'm going to go to y equals negative 5/3 x plus 11 over 3. Okay, graph. It's not too bad. Kind of nice. All right. Now we want the line of best fit. The easy part, right? Best fit. Line of best fit. So we need to go. What do we need to do to get line of best fit? Good job. Stat, calculate, linear regression. The same. I should, nothing's changed. Only thing that's changed is what's in list 1 and list 2. That's what we've changed. And then so I'm just going to tell it to calculate that. And I'm going to round to 2 decimal places for each part. Okay. Negative 1.8 and positive 3.6. I don't even have to round. Awesome. There's my best fitting line. And then I'm going to graph that to see how much better it is than my line that I created. If you put the data in the same, our line of fit should be the same. So if you're working with somebody, you know, studying this stuff, y'all should be getting the same line of best fit when you do that linear regression. So y equals negative 1.8 x plus 3.6. It should be real close. I mean, the blue one, yeah, that's going to be, man, that's real close to the same line. Just a tiny bit of difference. And, you know, I misses this point quite a bit and this one, but it really lines up on those other three. So it's real close to the same as the one that I found. And that should be what you're finding, is that the line you find, if you do it right, should be close to the line of best fit. Okay. All right. So graphing calculator is your friend. When you get down into 17 through 25, you're talking word problems. They give you data and they tell you which one to call the independent variable and which to call the dependent variable. The independent acts like which letter? X or Y? X. Dependent is Y. So if they tell you independent variable is the weight and the dependent variable is calories, like it's number 17, they actually put X and Y there. But when you get to 18, it's got W and N, so it's not even the same letters. But X tells us that's independent variable, and then the other one has to be the dependent. So they give you some data there and ask you to find some lines on that. Again, I'm not asking you to draw scatter diagrams by hand. You just use a graphing calculator to get a look at it, see if it's linear, if it's in that sort of thing. Okay, so suggested problems for 4.2, numbers 5 through 25 on page 290, 291, 292, 93, 94. Out of that, so look at those and see what you can do from there. Okay, all right.